Good afternoon and welcome to PBA at Noon. I'm Paul Benwell and I'm joined by my colleague Sophie Caesar. Today we have with us Lithium Chile, the largest landholder of lithium salars in Chile outside of the Chilean government and SQM. The company owns 17 projects encompassing 166,950 hectares on lithium-rich salars, all of which have good access to infrastructure. They also find themselves in an advantageous position of owning 5 exploration properties with potential for gold, silver, and copper. Their Carbonate property lies in the heart of Chilean mega porphyry, copper, gold, and silver belt and has yielded very positive results. Lithium Chile trades on the TSX Venture under the symbol LITH. I would like to introduce you to the President and CEO, Steve Cochran. Steve, go ahead and we'll have questions for you later.
Well, thank you, Paul, for that glorious introduction. And to your audience, I'd like to thank them as well for taking the time today to hear what I firmly believe is a very unique story. We'll get started right now with just a quick observation. We are in the unique position of having 2 of the hottest commodities, I think, today in our portfolio. We are a lithium exploration company, but as well as Paul mentioned, we have 5, I think, outstanding copper, gold, silver prospects in the portfolio as well. So, having 2 distinct assets, 2 distinct commodity assets, people may ask, well, why would you do that? And the important takeaway is that we are geographically focused. All of our properties, both lithium and the copper gold, are in Chile. As mentioned yesterday to Paul, we could drive from our Carbonate gold property to our Atacama lithium property inside of 4 hours. So while we might be diversified from an asset standpoint, our team and our people are focused geographically, obviously, in Chile. And the first question I'm sure is on your mind, of course, is why lithium? And we'll get to that right now. First of all, I'll backtrack a little bit. Here is a map of the so-called lithium triangle. All the properties in red are exploration claims in this lithium-rich basin. Coypasa to the north, and Aguilar all the way south. We do have property in Atacama. Currently in Chile, Atacama is the only producing salar, as well as some very prospective property along the Argentinian border. Today, because of time constraints and other issues, I'm only going to talk about the one lithium salar, arguably our flagship salar, and that'll be Coypasa. But quick question, quick discussion on why lithium. Of course, I think we're all very familiar now about the absolute stunning success of Tesla. Tesla revolutionized electric mobility. It made it sexy, has created a real appetite globally for electric transportation. The second big issue, too, that the world is facing right now is the climate change and all of the interest around taking the necessary steps to reduce our carbon footprint. And one of the things that has happened in the lithium space that's never happened in any other commodity is you have governments now mandating electric transportation, mandating the use of non-internal combustion engine cars. So you've got a top-down government actually influence pressure on manufacturers to bring more electric transportation, more green transportation on. In some cases, mandating, as Quebec did just recently, that no longer will they sell internal combustion engine cars by 2035. So while that's driven the demand for electric transportation, the only source right now for driving those electric cars are the lithium batteries. Hence, lithium prices over between 2017 and 2018 rose as much as 300, 400%. So lithium really is going to be the only, currently the only electrolyte source that's going to power this surge in electric transportation. So I think we can all agree that lithium is here to stay, and certainly for the next 2 or 3 years, the supply-demand picture is very positive for lithium pricing. Should also be pointed out, as of Monday, for the first time in 26 weeks, the price of lithium carbonate in China rose. So again, I think that reflects increasing demand and increasing interest in this whole battery space. Again, just quickly look at increasing demand, what's happening around the world with respect to governments mandating change in the transportation space. We have, as mentioned by Paul, we probably have right now about 14 actually prospective salars. We've high graded them in the top 6. We high graded them based on grade, sample grade, size, and access. Chile currently holds 53% of the known reserves of lithium in the world. They are also by far the lowest cost producer of a ton of lithium carbonate anywhere in the world. In Atacama, they're currently producing a ton of lithium carbonate, which is really the feedstock for batteries, for about 1,500 US per ton. That compares when you look at Argentina, because of just wetter weather and less sunshine, you've got a cost per ton of lithium carbonate of around 3,300. And then of course you go to Australia and the spodumene producers, they're looking at about $5,000, $5,500 per ton to produce a ton of lithium carbonate. And that was great when lithium carbonate was trading at $26,000 spot market, as it was back in 2017, late 2016 and through 2017. But the global price, spot market price for lithium carbonate right now is 66,000, 6,500 US. That's why you've seen a collapse in a lot of the production, particularly out of Australia. These hard rock guys cannot make money at $6,500 a ton. And the best evidence for that is, of course, the Nemaska's challenges, because they are a high cost hard rock lithium producer. So Chile has the lowest cost of production for a ton of lithium carbonate. And secondly, has over half the known reserves of lithium in the world. And that's why it's most often referred to as the Saudi Arabia of lithium. Lowest cost, highest reserves, it's where you want to be. So as mentioned, we high graded 6 properties. We drilled 2 Oyawe. We got a commercial discovery. It averaged about 370, 400 milligrams per liter on this property. Good by North American standards, disappointing by standards in Chile. We also drilled Turi. We only drilled 1 hole into Turi. The grades were about 190 milligrams per liter. We weren't in the sweet spot of the aquifer, but then COVID came about and we had to shut that down. Realistically, our flagship property is Coipasa. It's the one where we had the highest sample grade. It's our second largest property, but it also straddles the Bolivian border. And the Chinese announced a year and a half ago a deal with the Bolivian government to explore the Bolivian side of the same salar, and what they were prepared to pay for that program really just gave us a huge confidence that we're onto something on that property. I'll talk a little bit more specifically about it right now because of time constraints. But what you have here is you have the Salar de Coipasa, which straddles the Bolivian-Chilean border. As you can see, the border between the 2 countries runs right through basically the property. The Salar de Coipasa is the second largest salar in the world. 4/5 of it are on the Bolivian side. 1/5 is on the Chilean side, total of 170 square kilometers that we own. and we control about 80% of the salar. It was on the Bolivian side that the Xinjiang TBA group offered the Bolivian government to invest up to 1.4 billion US for a 49% stake in this prospect. Our entire market cap is $20 million, and we control and we own the Chilean side. Chinese were prepared to pay 1.4 billion. We've had Chinese companies interested in us. They've been talking really since day one. We had a Chinese partner out of Beijing very interested in working with us, and they visited this prospect twice. And interestingly enough, they were hired. It's called the China Chemical Geology Bureau. They were hired by the Chinese group to do the preliminary exploration work on Bolivia. So they had a team on the ground in July and October of 2019, again, before the problems in Bolivia and the problems with the virus generally. And I was privileged to look at the data they collected, and it just reinforces what we're saying. This potentially is the best property that we have currently in our portfolio. Again, the actual target, the aquifer target, is about 65 square kilometers. It's massive, has the potential to actually double the known reserves of lithium in Chile, should we be successful in getting a brine-rich hole drilled. 1,410 milligrams, put in perspective. The cheapest, the most cost-effective lithium mine in the world is at Atacama in Chile. SQM and Albemarle are producing there, and they're producing at 1,500 milligrams per liter lithium. We have 1,400. So we are very excited about the potential of this property. Realistically, we thought we would be on that property this summer and fall, but because of COVID, the areas, particularly the areas along the border, have all been shut down. The Chilean government is very cognizant of cross-border transmission of the virus. These are wide, open, in most cases, very infrequent patrols. So a lot of people and goods kind of come and go across the border. So with the concern about the virus, this area has been shut down. So that's delayed us. The most recent information I have as of yesterday is that they look at opening these areas up again. Most of Chile, the central part of Chile, has opened. The border areas right now, they're projecting around December the 11th that they would be lifting the restrictions. If that's the case, we feel very confidently that we could file our drilling permit for Coipasa before the end of December, and realistically be drilling this property sometime in the first quarter of the new year. So that's an excellent property for us. As you can see, it's a massive basin, and I do know, because of the work that the Chinese have done, they're seeing 700, 780 milligrams per liter of lithium in the brines on the Bolivian side. So that does give us lots of confidence. Just another quick property that I'll discuss right now, just to give you an idea, is our Laguna Blanca property. Again, it's on the Argentinian-Bolivian border. It's a large property, currently about 28 square kilometers. We see a very nice geophysical anomaly on this property, highly conductive. But what was interesting about this property, not only did we get great lithium values, 1,300, 1,280, but we also saw cesium values north of 600 parts per million. Put in perspective, some of the richest cesium mines in the world are only producing around 400, 500 parts per million. And we had, in the salt samples, we had 680, I think, in our samples. We press released that about 6 or 7 months ago, and immediately were approached by a couple of, one a US-based company and two Asian-based companies, who are very interested in cesium. Cesium is critical element in the rollout of 5G networks. As explained to me, that the difference between a robust 5G network and one that's not that great really involves the amount of cesium they use in their process. So it's a property we'd like to get on. We'd like to extend the expand our knowledge on this area here. And I think we could very easily bring a partner in to co-develop that with us. So those are just two of, I think, the really near-term lithium properties that we have in our stable. We're excited by the prospect of both of them. I can tell you we've also been approached by outside parties who would be more than happy to joint venture with us in moving those projects forward. But first things first, we'd like to get our, the restrictions lifted, our permits filed, and then I would be open at least to discussing the potential for a partnership to move either or both those projects forward. So we're keen. We think our lithium prospects are second to none. And the other takeaway that I think is really important, we're the only company in Chile to date that has successfully negotiated 3 separate exploration programs on 3 separate prospects with 3 separate indigenous communities. We're the only company that's had, under the new Surface Rights Act of 2017, successfully negotiated permission from 3 Aboriginal communities to do an exploration project. We have great working relationship with the local communities that like us. And as you'll see at the end of this presentation, our reputation for respecting cultural rights and the environment is second to none. So where contemporary companies like Wealth Minerals have yet to drill 1 well, we fortunately have been allowed to drill 6 on 2 different properties and 1 pending. So quickly, I'm going to move to our gold silver properties. Again, as mentioned at the beginning, we're unique in the sense we've got lithium assets, but we've also got gold silver assets. Not only is Chile the Saudi Arabia of lithium because of their low costs and their extensive reserves, it's one of the richest mineral countries in the world. 4 of the largest copper mines in the world are in Chile. Currently the largest prospect gold mine in the world, Pascua-Lama, Barrick's property, straddles the Chilean Argentinian border. So Chile has that, as the luck of the draw, that they are one of the best countries in the world for mineral exploration. Top of that, they also have the most stable government in South America, the lowest corruption in South America on the international corruption scale, and a ton of mining expertise. So it makes a great jurisdiction to be looking for any kind of natural resources. But I want to touch on a couple of properties first. We actually have 5 properties. You're looking at 4 of them here on this map. I've already done a joint venture on Apollo San Caron. I did a deal with a company called Inform Resources in April. They farmed in, they're going to pay me $600,000 over the next 3 years and $3 million into the ground, turn 65%. On the back of my deal, their stock went from 7 cents to $1.17. So it shows you the interest that's in gold properties right now. We've decided to keep the Carmona property for ourselves. I've had 2 offers to JV this property out, but it is highly prospective. It's the one, if you look at our recent news releases, we've released a great initial exploration grades, upwards of 27 grams of gold and 329 grams of silver. Those came from the northern and southern anomalies. We've been focused recently on our press releases in the southern anomaly here. These 3 the total property is 83 square kilometers. These 3 anomalies that appear to be mineral rich total 26 square kilometers. But we've recently had some great discoveries here. We see a vein structure to the north and extending up towards the central anomaly. Those where we got our recent sample grades of 12.7 grams gold, 147 grams of silver, and 4% copper. So we're very excited about this property. We do have a program underway right now where we're building a road into the central anomaly. The roads tend to get washed out during the winter months. And so we're rebuilding the road into here, and we'll extend it into the north. Same time we're building the roads, it's allowing us to do some trenching and cross-cutting of some of the recent veins systems we've discovered. And we do have samples in for assay now, and we'll continue to probably have samples into the lab for the next 3 to 4 weeks. So that looks very, very exciting. And really it opens some options for us as a company. One, we can continue to prove that property up ourselves, or we can now show a prospective partner that we think this is a tremendously exciting prospect, and I can cut the best deal I can for our shareholders. The knowledge we're gaining now just gives me more data. It leverages the property if we decide to do a deal, but it also gives the board some insight if we decide to continue moving forward ourselves. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much it in a nutshell. There's lots more to talk about, of course, but I know our time is limited. And as I say, I appreciate you really taking the time to hear the story today.
Well, we have quite a few questions, Steve, so thank you very much. Let's start off with, what is your cash position and debt position?
We have no debt. In fact, we have 1.1 million Canadian owed to us. Again, we created a subsidiary 2 years ago where the initial mineral properties went into the subsidiary called Kairos Metals. We wanted to stay focused on lithium, and we brought a team in to, really advance the gold properties. Same time that we rolled the properties in, we lent them cash of $1.1 million that was due to be paid back in May of this year. Unfortunately, the management team in place didn't live up to their billing. While they drilled some very interesting holes on our copper play, Salvadora, they never moved forward to take the company public and return the cash. So what I did is I extended the loan until November of next year for 1.1 million, and I took back 5 of the mineral properties. That's how we got our mineral properties back. Knew there was interested in the gold properties. I turned around, did a deal, and farmed out 2 of the gold properties. I've received 100 grand from them. They owe me another $500,000 should they decide to move forward. And I have $1.1 million owed to me coming due on November 30th, 2021. The good news is we brought in a new management team for the subsidiary. They've got an RTO plan. They've received conditional listing approval. They've raised $1.5 million. And that deal closes December 11th. So the ability for us to get our money back, I think, has improved significantly under this new management team and this new deal. So no debt. We've got basically 1.6 million owed to us. And I have currently, as of October 30th, which we'll approve today, we have $769,000 cash in the bank.
Excellent. Which brings me to my next question. What CapEx is needed to get a mine running? What is the infrastructure in that area?
Well, that's a very complicated question. And typically what we're seeing in Chile, CapEx to bring a 25,000 ton a year lithium carbonate plant is running between $400 and $500 million. Still a fraction of the cost. If you look at Nemaska, their budget was $1.3 billion and they were still short. So the CapEx for a lithium producing mine is significantly less. Obviously, it's our goal to prove that we have a resource. We prove we have a deposit. We've had the people offer to joint venture already, and I think it would be our decision to farm a project out and have somebody carry it through to production. So I'm more concerned at this point in time, which is really where your value curve is, proving that we have a commercial resource. And that's my goal near term. And that budget is only, I think, our budget for a 4-hole program on Koi Pass right now is 750,000 Canadian, of which we've paid 150,000 as a deposit. So $500,000 will get us 4 holes in the Koi Passa. So the CapEx on the exploration side is not huge. Our current budget on our Carbonate program is $45,000. And that's for the phase 2A, phase 2B program we're currently running. So realistically, it's not expensive to prove up a potential resource in Chile.
We have a question here about if you'll be using the new filtration system from a Canadian inventor. Could you please discuss this? Is this Canadian company private or public?
Okay, and actually another great question, and hopefully at the end of the presentation we'll touch a little bit on that. We formed a joint venture with a company called Summit Nanotechnologies. If you go to our website, they were featured recently in a Global News Hour report. There are a dozen or more companies out there that have extraction technology. Nobody's proved anything up commercially yet. There are a number of pilot projects underway, one in the US and a couple pending in South America. The future, I think, of lithium extraction, the future of lithium production from brines will be extraction based. There's just too much support for a green technology that uses less water, uses less power, and it's going to come. We think we've aligned ourselves with one of the best technologies out there today. They've sort of combined, without getting too technical, they've combined the other technologies. Some do membrane, some do selective absorption. They've taken and made it combine both technologies to make a seamless process. They're private right now. They've done a phase or an A round of raise. They'll probably do a second round in the spring, but they've got BP knocking at the door. They've got Total Petroleum knocking at the door. I think we're really partnered with one of the best companies in that space today. They love Chile. We are exclusively their provider of lithium brines in Chile. And together, Summit, ourselves, and the Catholic University of Santiago, Catholic University of Chile, have applied for a Chilean government grant. In the spring, the Chilean government said that they'd put up to 4.6 million US towards a pilot project proving up technology. There was 50 applicants, including us and Summit Nanotech. We've been shortlisted to one of 3. And again, we were hoping to hear this past summer that we were one of the recipients of that grant, but because of COVID issues, that decision has been delayed. But the fact that the government chose us as one of the 3 finalists again is very confidence building.
Well, so what is exactly your relationship with the government, and is this government stable? Was one of our questions.
You know what? Chile has the most stable government currently in South America. They have for 38 years. Unfortunately, there was a series of civil unrest this fall, just as there was everywhere around the world. The Yellow Vest movement, Hong Kong, Paris, Beirut, and currently in Peru, there's this sort of groundswell of discontent globally. The Chilean government had about 2 or 3 months of unrest, mostly situated in Santiago. That's where half the population of Chile lives. And recently they've agreed to revisit the constitution. What's good from our standpoint is that mining and some of the policies with respect to mining are going to be part of that review process. So the Chilean miners and producers have got an association that will lobby on our behalf. So I'm quite optimistic that we could see some vast improvements come out. Either way, it's probably going to be a 12 to 18 month process minimum. So in the meantime, it's, you know, business as usual. And yes, we've got a great working relationship with the government, but more importantly, as I mentioned earlier, with the Indigenous communities. And in a lot of cases, they're driving the bus these days.
So we have a couple of geology questions here. To what depth have you explored?
Most, and again, another complicated question that I'll try to deal with quite simply. The basins in Chile where these lithium bearing aquifers can range anywhere from 30 meters deep to 900 meters deep. In the case of Atacama, they're producing from about 25 to 30 meters right now. We have seen in our Yahweh property, our aquifer begin at 110 meters. Turi was about 225 meters. And on Coripasa, we see the aquifer beginning around 125 meters. Coripasa, the basin is 900 meters deep. So, and we see, if you look at the geophysics on that property, we see our conductive target still open to 400 meters. So that has, as I said earlier, that has the potential to be a massive discovery just because of the depth and the size of that basin. So our initial program will be to 300 meters on that property.
And what permits are still outstanding, if any?
Well, our exploration permit on Carmona is underway. We will take a look at shooting a geophysics program there in December to identify drill targets over some of our strongest anomalies. If we decide to drill it ourselves, we'll have to apply for a drilling permit, which is pretty straightforward in the hard rock side. On the lithium side, we have the Indigenous community support currently. We have court-ordered access, court-recognized with the community support, our right to access that Coripasa property. What we're waiting for there is the compensation award. What do we pay the communities for our drill pads? And we already have an agreement with them. If the courts are lower, we'll pay what we've agreed to. If the court's award is higher, we'll pay that. But we're waiting on that award, and then we can file our drilling permit. Because of the restrictions to the COVID restrictions, the courts have not opened up yet in the northern region. December 11th, they're supposed to. That's why we figure we could get our compensation award and file that permit. The permit is pretty straightforward for exploration. You're probably looking at a 20-day turnaround for that.
Okay. And one last question on the gold property. Are those soil or grab samples that you announced?
All of the above.
Okay.
If you look at the press releases, we have some outstanding soil samples where we've seen 1.6 grams, 1.67 grams per ton of gold in the soil. Those numbers are similar to what Barrick got at Pascua-Lama. We've also done continuous chip sampling where we'll actually take a sample over a 2-meter intercept. So you get a representation of that structure rather than just looking for grab samples. And those have come back 26, 27 grams of gold, 300 plus grams of silver. Most recent results where we got 12 point something grams of gold and 147 grams of silver and 4% copper. Those are float samples. So those are gravel samples taken from a vein structure that we've encountered. And I don't know whether I can bring it up right now, Sophie, and I don't want to, but I do have a picture.
I actually brought it up on my screen. I'd be happy to share that for you.
Yeah, I just quickly to the gentleman or a lady who asked
it's this
that
one we were talking about, correct?
Yeah, is it the
is that
one?
Yes.
This is chalcopyrite. You've also got some chalcocite, pyrite, zinc, and there's free gold in this sample. This came from a swarm of veins to the northern part of that southern anomaly that we were talking about. These veins range from 1.5 meters to 4 meters wide. In Chile, most of the major gold mines are associated with copper. The conduit that has brought the gold to the surface are these chalcocite, chalcopyrite copper veins. So this particular sample is still in for assay, but the gravel samples that we took from around the veins were 12 grams gold, 147 grams of silver, and 4% copper. We think this could be a very wealthy, a very interesting assay when we get it back. But as our VP Exploration said, if you're looking for gold in Chile, this is what you hope to see.
Excellent. Perfect. Paul, do you have a couple of questions for Steve, and then we can wrap it up?
Yeah, just a couple, Steve. You've got a lot of properties on your plate. You got a lot of stuff going on. So I guess the question of shareholders would be, where's your main focus going to be in the short term?
Carmona and Coipasa. That's why I touched on today. Carmona is underway as we speak. It's all year-round access. The property is a 2.5-hour drive from our head office. So it's obviously a focus. And as mentioned, I do have two companies, one a TSX listed, one an ASX TSX-V listed company that would do a deal tomorrow on that property. But I want to leverage it. I think we can get, if I do decide to do a deal, I can get a very, very strong offer for our shareholders. And obviously Coipasa, we've got lots of people that think Coipasa could be a company maker. And again, I think we would have been drilling that if it hadn't been for the unprecedented issues we've come across in 2020. If it isn't, a civil unrest, it's a pandemics. I mean, who in their right mind would have ever forecast the kind of year we had? So in a nutshell, both those properties have the potential to create real value for shareholders and are our priority.
And with your cash on hand and the incoming cash that you explained earlier, how far is that going to take you?
Carmona, I could take it all the way to a drill program. I could probably put 1 or 2 holes with the cash at hand in Coipasa. But quite honestly, I've got offers on the table right now to fund Coipasa. Okay. I could probably do a deal tomorrow. I've got a report from a British company that I've sent you who are currently following us. They participated in our last raise and are very interested in doing a fundraiser for us in that £2 to £3 million range. I don't want to do it at these levels, obviously. I'd like to get Coipasa approved and cleared, and we can fund it. They've got me doing a presentation. They're a boutique out of London. They have 700 high net clients. They manage $1 trillion worth of assets under management. And they've got me December 9th presenting to 35 of their high net worth clients that saw the research report on us and liked the lithium space. So I think I have lots of options with respect to how we fund going forward. But, again, nobody wants to fund where we are currently. I think we should be back to that 40, 50 cent range.
Okay. And one last question. Who are your major shareholders?
Management. Management insiders, probably. I mean, the numbers officially are about 51, 54%. I think we're much higher than that if you take into consideration sort of extended family members, but we do have some really significant shareholders in the management team. The firms that have been really following us to date are PI, Canaccord's been in and out of the stock about 3 times. And also we get good support from Lee Jones Gable out of Toronto and Vancouver.
Excellent. Steve, you've got a bunch of great projects going on. Thank you so much for your presentation today. I like it.
And we'll share the research report with everybody that's on here and the video as well. So
and if they have a chance, again, I think that 1-minute video sums up our approach. Our relationship with the local communities, which you can't emphasize enough. That's such a key. anywhere in the world today if you're resource developing, you know, be it our indigenous in northern Alberta or the indigenous in Chile. So that's a good big plus. And I think this deal we have with Summit going forward is going to pay huge dividends.
Steve, appreciate it very much. Thank you to everyone for listening in today. If any Americans or people with American friends, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day. Be safe. And again, Steve, thanks. We'll be in touch soon.
Okay, appreciate your time and thanks everybody who attended.
Thank you. Take care.